detail regarding the join and separate section that we just did in the previous video. If I create a line, something like that, and I've got a second section, and I want to join these two parts or these two objects, I'm going to select my direct selection tool. I can select the path, holding shift, select the second path, which is basically the object. I'm going to hold in shift and select this first anchor. You can see that again it's going to give me a solid color at my anchor point. Holding shift, select the second anchor. Again, it's going to give me a solid color on that. And for Windows, it's going to be Control J, and Mac, it's going to be Command J. And you can see how it's joined. Now, how do we separate this little section? Well, the easiest way that I do it is I select my pen tool and I add an anchor point. Now, you can see that I've just selected the pen tool. You can specifically go to add anchor point tool as well. If you hover over that path, you'll see that it gives you a little plus, and you add an anchor point. I generally do it in the middle. So what's going to happen is I'm going to select my direct selection tool. I'm going to click on the anchor point. If I press backspace, it's going to delete until the first and the last anchor point that it's connected to. So it's going to delete to there, that anchor point, and it's going to delete to there, that anchor point. So select that anchor, and you are going to press backspace, and you'll see that it deleted to that first anchor point and the last anchor point. Same idea again. If I want to delete from here to there, let's say I have a guide. I can either, with my direct selection tool, select that anchor, and I'm going to hold in shift because it's a straight line, and I can just pull down that line to there. First way of doing it. Second one, direct selection tool, click on the anchor point, and with my arrow keys I can just move my little line to where I want it to. And then the last way would be to select your pen tool, add anchor point tool, and add an anchor point to that section where you want it to delete to, and click on the last anchor point. It's going to delete to that anchor point. So press backspace and boom, anchor point deleted. So I'm going to delete that guideline, and I'm going to lock my guides again. I'm going to zoom out. And you can see that I've been working in the shirt layer the whole time. How do I know that? Well, if I select a specific object, you can see that it's going to be assigned in color, and that indicates to me which layer I'm working in. Delete that just for now. So let's say, for instance, you are designing a shirt but with a little bit of a see-through material. How would I do something like that? Well, first off, you'll remember that we spoke about the appearance window. So how do we get there if it's not already on your screen? You go to Window and you open up your appearance window. I have to select that specific item or the object, and I'm going to go to, in my appearance window, I've got stroke and I've got fill. You'll see that it gives me the option of opacity. Now this is technically the name for transparency. There are a few differences, but we won't go into details on that. So I can either change the opacity or transparency of my stroke, I can do it for my fill, or I can do it for everything together, stroke and fill together. So I just want to change my fill. So when we design, we are actually always going to have a stroke, so that when we look at the garment, I can see your outline of your garment. So I'm going to change my opacity for just my fill. So I drop down menu on fill in the appearance window, and I'm going to select opacity, which you can see there it says transparency panel, and it gives you the percentage of transparency. Now with my little slider, I can change my opacity. You can see how, or I can type in if I'd like to 50%. this is 50% opacity. So now that if I've designed something other than, or you've got something underneath your shirt, you can see that this is on top of my shirt. If I'm going to send it backwards, remember we can send it backwards. If I go over here, you can see that these are the layers that are in that specific layer, sublayer. I'm going to select that item or object and I'm going to say arrange, send backwards. Now remember that you've got many objects over in this layer, so if you just send it backwards once, it might not go backwards already, so you have to do it a few times. So I'm going to say send backwards. I'm going to use the shortcut, which is on my side Command and the back bracket. For Windows it should be Control and the back bracket. And there we go. You can see that I did that 4 times, and now that item is behind my main shirt. So that would be transparency. We use that if you've got something more of like a chiffon in your dress and so forth.